I can tell you all about how to improve your dribbling with exercises and all that. But you probably would also agree that I think it's more of a thought process. What goes through in your head when you're going one-on-one with a defender?
100%. I think a big part of it is instinctual.
The anticipation of your move as well as what the opposition is gonna do. That's the question that brings us here, where how do you anticipate that? How do you manage to predict your next move? And at the end of the video, he will show some of his favorite exercises that you potentially can do to improve your dribbling skills. The first question, as far as I know, that your weak foot is not as good as your dominant foot, obviously. The defenders observes this.
Yeah.
And the defenders obviously just wanna naturally force you to your weaker side.
Yeah.
And how do you make yourself unpredictable even though they know that you eventually gonna take the ball to your dominant side?
I think it's all about bait. So I think you bait the player, even though they know that you're going on your right foot. It's baiting them that you're gonna go to your left. So taking little touches to your left foot, and then you use a change of pace or you explode on the other side, on the right side. So you actually move them away from the space that you want to attack the space that you end up going to. I mean, that's what Messi does.
Yeah.
Messi always goes on his left.
Yeah. I know.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Like he just takes touch, and then.
I know, it's so predictable.
It's very predictable.
The move is very predictable.
If I play against the same player in the same league for a lot of years and he starts knowing exactly who I am, but I start taking it on my right, and he's not gonna expect me to take it on my left foot ever. So now when I take it on my left foot, I'm gonna have way more space than he usually has. So I'm actually gonna still be dangerous. Yeah. But it's also important to mention that having a left foot is very important. Obviously. Like it's not like if you are extremely one-footed, it's an issue.
Yeah.
You can never be that dangerous.
No.
So even if your weak foot is not as good as your right foot, you have to have the basics of crossing a ball, passing a ball, still hitting a ball with a decent amount of power on your left foot. Let's not forget about that. You still have to have a left foot to a certain extent.
The weak foot is the first thing and the most important thing you have to improve if you want to be at a certain level.
Yes.
You can't just have one foot. If you're young watching this video, you better get that weak foot near as good as your dominant foot. The next question is, you have the ball on your feet and you are running towards a defender. What goes through your head? Do you plan it, that your next move, or do you just kind of wing it? Do you say, whatever the reaction I get from the opposition, I go one or the other way?
I think there's multiple layers, but the two most important layers of this question is obviously the player in front of you that you're taking on and the person that's covering for him. So if the person is covering for him, you could see behind that he's covering inside. You try to beat the player in front of you outside and vice versa. But that's layer two. Layer one is obviously the defender right in front of you, which is which side is he giving you? Obviously, you have to look at his feet. You also have to look where you're going, but you have to look at his feet, where he's going, which side he's giving. If he's giving left, you try to cut in. If he's going right, you cut in. And this is where skill and taking little touches and then big touches come into play. Because if you want to go inside, you have to obviously make him think that you're going outside and then go inside. So it's the little touches that you take. But you have to look at obviously his body position and all that stuff. It's very important. So for me, it's not a plan. It's very instinctual, and it's a reaction of what the defender is showing me. That's just how I do it. I don't know about other players, but...
And I think that's what basically, in my opinion anyways, separates players like Cristiano Ronaldo versus Messi.
Yes.
Where one is more of an instinct, where you're born with it.
Yes.
You're not really trying too hard.
I 100% agree, and I think a very good example of someone that does the same move all the time, but it's very instinctual. He uses the right timing to do it. Other than Messi, of course, because he's an alien, he's a freak, is Robin. Robin always cut inside and shot, and people would be like, oh, he's so predictable. But he just waits for the right time of when the defender kind of twitches or goes in or bites, and then he goes. He was unplayable. It was impossible to defend him.
The simplicity makes it
very
more challenging.
Simple, and he did the same thing over and over, and he made a career out of it.
The next question, when you're going 1v1 against the defender, what are you looking at the defender? Personally, myself, I look at the bottom half. I don't do much eye contact. I'm nowhere near as good of a dribbler as you. Like that's not my style. So what do you do? Like, do you do any eye contact, or do you just look at the body movements?
I do exactly what you just said.
Okay.
To be honest, it's looking at his body position which is his bottom half, his hip, where he's focused, where he wants me to go, and where I want to go. Obviously, I make that decision after. But it's also, like I said before, it's looking at the guy behind and who's covering where. I don't want to cut in, but there's a guy that I'm gonna just stumble into.
As you mentioned, the second and third guy, basically the one that covers. I think, in my opinion, it's easy to beat the first guy. I think more important to figure out the second or the third guy, which is because they're coming with a purpose of just to win the ball. What do you do for the second and the third guy, which are the hardest part of the dribbling?
Well, I think it's always when you're beating the first guy with a move, the second guy is also watching you. So if you take a touch inside and then outside, remember, you're not just beating the first guy. The guy behind him also thinks you're going inside for a split second. Gives you kind of an edge or like an advantage.
Yeah.
But also you have to see where they're covering. If you cut in on a guy and there's 3 guys already covering the inside, then you're just gonna lose the ball. You're gonna beat the guy for 2 seconds and then you're gonna lose the ball, which is obviously ruins the whole...
The plot of the game, where you're just stalling.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what you're planning for is to cut in and score, cut in and assist, or cut in and keep the ball for your team. But if you cut and beat the first guy and you go exactly where the second and third guy are covering, then what you did was very useless.
This one is about the space between you and the defender.
Yeah.
How much space do you want to leave personally when you're getting to the defender before you make the move to either side? Because you don't want to be too tight. You want to be out of reach.
I think the space between me and you is a good space to dribble, to be honest.
If you're quick.
If you're quick. It also depends on how fast the guy you're playing against. It depends on how big the guy, how quick he moves. Like if I'm going against a 6'5" center back that can't move as quick, I probably want to do it further away from him because he can't react as fast. Tighter space means that he could just put his body, he could wrap me around him, which just makes my life a lot harder. I'd say 3 feet is a good way to have the, you know, because even if you take a touch, you can't just intercept. You have more space to play with. If you're on a 100% sprint, like Mbappe, for example, it could be a lot further. It could be a lot further. Okay. The closer you are when you're dribbling, you're taking little touches, and then you're taking a big touch. That's how you dribble, right? You have to make the defender commit to you.
So well, you do, not me.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to make the player commit to you first. You have to dribble towards the guy, not far away from the guy.
Okay.
So you dribble towards the guy. As soon as space like that, now it's time for you to kind of deke him around or go inside, outside.
And the last question is your favorite exercises, dribbling exercises that could help people watching our video out.
One of my favorite drills to do for dribbling, it's meant to be for tight spaces, obviously, and how to escape through tight spaces. So my recommendation is to always do it. I mean, it's not a recommendation. You have to do it with a friend or a training buddy. So the drill is also to set up 3 gates that you're trying to dribble out of under pressure. Obviously, your friend is putting the pressure on you, and it's full contact. It just replicate realism in the game that happens. Basically, I'm gonna pass it to you. You're gonna pass it back to me. And as soon as you pass it, put pressure.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna try to either go here or here.
Okay.
It's very close. I tried it on my first touch to either, if I take a touch close to me, I have to deke you out. It's so important in dribbling as well to just, you know, to escape on your first touch.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please drop a like, subscribe to my channel with the notifications on. You can also find my playlist right over here. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time.